All right. You know what time it is. Welcome to another episode of Getting Real in the Field, where this is the show where we talk about all the things that you hate to do, which is following up, making phone calls, talking to people, sending emails, text messages, calling people at night, showing houses, doing all the things that you don't like to do.
That's right.
Because you want to make money. And then you want to make big decisions with your real estate career. And I am your host today, JP Fluellen, and this is the one, the only myth, man, legend, Kek Tay. Welcome, Kek.
Thank you, JP, for welcoming to our own show.
We welcome ourselves to our own show. So welcome.
Hey, I'm so glad that you showed up tonight, man.
Thank you. You as well. You know, just to see your smiling face just, gets me through another week.
Awesome. Okay. So, do we have a topic, or I've got one if you're open for that?
I don't know what you got. What you got
Okay.
for us?
You know what? Been getting a lot of questions that I thought this would be an interesting topic from our audience. And thank you for posting some of the questions and reaching out. The topic for tonight is, as an agent, I'm thinking about considering looking at other brokerages. So why don't we do you've gone through, you are an experienced agent, you've been around the block, and you've switched from brokerages to brokerages, from time to time, right? And you've built your team and so forth. Why don't you kind of share your experience, your wisdom and insights as well too, right? And you said as the topic for this evening?
Yeah, sure. Let's rock and roll. Let's do it.
Okay. So let's go with the first one. As an agent, when should I start looking at other brokerages? When do I know when it's just, I've been there for
Sure. So I would say a couple of qualifiers for this is, one of the challenges as agents is that we get stuck in this warp zone, if you will, when you're at a brokerage and you don't know what you don't know. You've heard that before.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is that because we're in a space that is comfortable, and because we're not necessarily looking. So that's one kind of qualifier for whether you should start looking or not, is just, hey, every once in a while, you should just look at what's going on out there as far as what other brokerages have to offer. I actually used to work with an agent, and she said about every 2 years, I will evaluate other brokerages just to see if where I'm at is actually the best place to be that serves me in my real estate path. And then the other idea is then whether or not that the brokerage I'm at is serving me best in where I want to go with my career, and it is the most profitable. Because a lot of times what we're told is what we believe, because we just don't know what's out there. I think there's a story out there about the two doors, where this guy is like in purgatory, if you want to call it purgatory, and there's two doors.
Sure.
One of them says, if you go through this door, you're going to be in an even worse place than you are, but yet you'll still be alive. And then the other door is sudden death. And so the guy's like, well, I might as well stay where I'm at, because I'm not going to sudden death, that's for sure. And I'm definitely not going to go to a place where I'm already at. That's going to be worse than where I'm already, where I'm going. So he does nothing, because the fear of change is paralyzing. But what he doesn't know is that on the other side of the door that says sudden death is really paradise. But he just is so scared of what's going on the other side of the door that he's not going to do anything. And
fair enough. Yeah.
And so it's kind of what happens in the real estate business a lot, is that, just kind of what we're told, where you're going, what you're doing, what you have is as good as it's going to get. And so we just do nothing. We don't go on the internet and just check to see out what those options are. We just kind of just hang out where we're at because it's comfortable. But
Okay.
but if you knew that there was better way to do what you're already doing and you'd be way more profitable, would you at least look into it or explore the opportunity?
Yeah. No, fair enough. I like that. So I guess the takeaway out of this is, hey, like a job, check it out, check what's going on with the market, every couple of years, so that you know that you've got the right choice and that is helping you build your business. Okay. So what should, as an agent, starting to look around, poke your head up, what should I be looking for?
So,
What's a good fit?
so a good fit would be take a look at the model, know your model, know it backwards and forwards, upside, downside, how your splits play out on every time you get paid. Know exactly the math, know that math, because the magic is in the math. And so when you're looking at other brokerage models, look at the math. Does the math add up? Does it stack up to what you know? And then, is it worth exploring or making a transition if the math works out in your favor?
So I'm kind of curious, like not too long ago, you went from in a brokerage to real, right? Is that what you went through? Like, what's the math like? Like what there's so many math calculations, right? Like splits, caps, and all that, fees as well too, right? So what went through your head? Maybe you can shed some advice, and should I pay a desk fee, or is there some sort of monthly fee? There's a technology fee, there's fee, five full farm. And
Exactly.
and then
You feel like Jack and the Beanstalk? That's not a good fit. No, just kidding.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of curious what went through your head to kind of say, hey, this was a good choice for you.
Yeah, so going back to originally, I was at just a hyper low, super low fee model.
Okay.
And the idea behind that was, well, if we have a super low fee model, then we'll attract more agents. Well,
that sounds pretty good. I mean, more money in your pocket. So
100%. And the agents that got it took full advantage. But because it's psychology a lot of times. So like, I'll give you an example. So when Cabela's got started, they sold fishing lures.
Yep.
And their model was, we'll sell you this fishing lure, one fishing lure for $1 and then free shipping. And they just couldn't sell us that many fishing lures. So then they went to a model where it was, hey, how about we give you free fishing lures and it's $1 for shipping? And their business blew up from there. So it's all psychology and how the story is told. So at that time, the story was told as, well, it was a 90-10 split. And then it was a $500 transaction fee. So I was like, oh, I can take full advantage of that model because I understood like the more I do, the more I get to retain.
Yep.
But because a couple things. One, it was new. It was a very new model to the traditional old school model. And because we didn't have enough reputation behind the model, it was really hard for agents to grasp this idea that, you can actually retain more by doing what you're already doing and make more. So anyways, long story short, we got that little indie brokerage ended up getting scooped up by a bigger brokerage. The model was much more traditional. There was no capping structure. It was this standard 60-40 split model. And, you just had to put your sign in. You had to do whatever they said because that's their brokerage. And it was more about the brokerage than it was about the agent. That was one of the reasons why at one point I decided, how do I play in the pond with all of the fish, And if I'm just one little sign writer in amongst of the sea of sign writers, it's really hard to build a brand around that.
Yeah.
So I did that for quite a while. And then of course I did the same thing like everybody says is, I was offered another model that was like really, really sweet again, like, oh, we have an 80-20 model. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. How do you make money? Because I always ask, like, how do you make money? And I really should say is, how does it benefit me instead of how do you make money? Because at the end of the day, like, it's, how do I brand myself? How do I build a brand? How do I not have to carry so much weight of expenses? Because that's part of the problem too, is that the agent has to carry so many additional expenses along with these hefty splits. And part of that is because the traditional brokerage model has to pay for utilities, put the lights on, brick and mortar, maintenance, mowing the lawn, all of these things, blowing out the sprinklers, like, the agent gets to take part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden comes along and says, you don't need any of that. If you live at a house or a home, then you can not have to pay any of those fees because you're already paying it under the roof that you live in with your bed in it. Why are you paying 2 sets of utilities?
So you're talking about the online models, right?
Yeah. So going from traditional to online model was a huge shift. And so then these brokerages actually were able to learn how to run on thinner models or thinner margins. And then another model comes along and I'm with Real, says, you know what? We can even cut that even more. We can thin that out even more because, it all comes down to keep the agents happy, keep them motivated, and it's focus on the agent, and then the rest will come. That's the kind of the model. And so that's where when I joined Real, they had several examples to look back on and say, you know what, this is what we don't want to be, and this is what we do want to be. And so the biggest thing for me was just really, it was a little bit thinner on the capping structure, just a little bit thinner on the splits. But ultimately what it was for me was just what made the magic happen was just how excited I was about, like, when you work at a place, you tell people like, well, where do you work? Oh, I work at blah, blah, blah. I work at Walmart distribute. No, they don't say that. But I mean, I work at Disney World, and they tell everybody, oh, that's got to be a pretty sweet job. And they're like, it actually is. Every day is a wonderland, and so that's where it was like, I switched over to Real. I love it because everybody has this like attitude of collaboration. They genuinely want to help you succeed, and they don't care, who you sponsored or any of that stuff. They're just like, how do we keep our agents successful? Because and we have this motto at Real, no agent left behind.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, okay, so that's one of my questions, like, the culture, right? Especially for, within a brokerage, but even like, especially even for online, love to kind of hear your thoughts. Like, you've experienced multiple organizations. So how important is culture? I mean, you were an independent broker, really working for a brokerage. Talk to you about, like, the culture and mentoring.
Yeah.
Is that, in those organizations, the bricks and mortar, and then, your online, especially at Real as well too.
Yeah. So culture is the glue that keeps everything together, right? If you don't have culture, you don't have a business, because you gotta have something that gives people the want and the desire to succeed. And, when you can work for an organization where, you can see how they struggle through certain things, and you feel bad for the place that you work, and you want to see everybody succeed. And so then you want to work a little bit harder because you say, if we all work harder together, then, and another one of our core values is work hard, be kind, because that's what it takes to be successful, is that, you just have to struggle through the things and not try to run over people on the way to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
So that was great. And, and it really like, like some people try to figure out what their why is. And for some people, it's, I work hard because I know that when I work hard, that my boss is happy. And I love it when my boss is happy. So that's why I work hard. And to me, that's just like, that's the ultimate kind of respectful nod to, thank you for being my mentor kind of thing. Because, you know, sometimes it's hard to find a why, you
Yeah.
know, you know, oh, I was a trust fund baby. I have all the things I ever wanted to, but I want a job, because I get satisfaction and fulfillment by working hard.
Yeah.
And so like building that kind of world is amazing. And just like when your colleagues are like, yeah, I just landed a, $1.2 million listing, and everyone's like, how did you do that? And they give you their whole blueprint of how they landed that $1.2 million listing. And you don't have to like jump through a bunch of hoops or like, well, who's in your upline? You should get that from them, or these kinds of like things. And it's just really nice to just be able to like talk to top producers all over the country and just have conversation. And they're just really able to just freely give, that knowledge without having to be like, you should join my coaching program, or whatever. They're trying to pitch you something. Or we provide that information free for the people that are, in our organization. But since you're not in our organization, you have to pay $40 a month for that.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I got a lot of that at my previous brokerage. And I was like, you know what? That's just not cool at all. We're all one company. I don't understand why we have these different silos and things like that. It's just weird. But again, I didn't know, you don't know what you don't know. So I had no clue that Real had this kind of collaborative environment that just genuinely want to see people succeed. And so when I got over here, I was like, it was exactly what they promised. Like there was
Wow.
nothing hidden or hiding or anything like that. And so that's the kind of culture that should be at every job. Like, that Google culture where it's like, hey, if you're feeling tired, go get a Red Bull out of the fridge or whatever, like
Yeah.
just like making people happy. And yeah, it's just great.
Okay. Well, to wrap things up, I'm just, any last piece of advice, I guess, with and switching and even about Real, really.
I would say,
I'll
if
give you that platform to get plug, put a little plug
oh,
there.
thank you. Thank you. So I would say if any of the things that we talked about tonight, if you're feeling like, that when you get your closing check at the end of your closing and you're just like, that was a lot of work for that. And you look at that thing and you're just like, how do I reach out for help on this? And at the end of the day, that's where I got with my last brokerage, my traditional brokerage that I was at.
Yeah.
Just, I don't understand where the money goes with all of the fees. I don't understand how that is helping me build my brand. And so if those are questions that are arising, honestly, like when you're out there grinding away and you're doing 4, 5, 6 deals a month, and you're just really at the end of the day going, oh, if I could only just retain more of this, it'd be really awesome. Then just reach out to me. Like, at Real, we have a really low cap. It's $12K, and we have no monthly fees. We've got a few annual fees and some transaction fees, but if you hit a certain amount of production, we give you all of that back in stock. So
Wow. Okay. Okay. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Pearls of wisdom from an experienced agent like JP. Anything else as we wrap up?
Yeah, if you have any interest, just shoot me a text. Just type Real, and I'll shoot you a text back and just say, hey, what's a good time to talk, and then we can visit about Real and see if it's a good fit for you.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Keck, how can they get a hold of you?
Easy. Check out, our company website, fieldnotes.ai, or you can call me directly at 740-0260. And you?
Text it to 307-772-1184. Remember, text the word real, and happy to have a convo on that.
Make it real, man.
Make it real. All right. Well, on that note, it will wrap up another episode of Getting Real in the Field. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.